It was a sunny Saturday afternoon when 12-year-old Liam quietly sat on the curb outside a small diner in his neighborhood. He had come with his mom for lunch, but while she was inside ordering, a group of older kids from school noticed him. Liam, who was deaf, often wore his hearing aids and communicated mostly through sign language. But some of the older kids didn't understand him. They just saw someone who was different. They started pushing him around, shoving his backpack, and laughing. One of them pulled out a phone and began recording Liam as tears streamed down his face. He tried to explain, signing "Stop, please," but they ignored him. To Liam, this wasn't just teasing. It was terrifying and humiliating. Inside the diner, Liam's mother felt a sudden sense of unease. Something wasn't right. She rushed outside and saw her son's shoulders trembling, his face streaked with tears, while the bullies were still filming, laughing, and posting videos online. Her heart sank. Just as she was about to run to him, a deep roar of engines echoed down the street. People turned their heads. Out of nowhere, nearly 40 motorcycles pulled up in a line, their riders wearing leather jackets, patches, and serious expressions. They weren't here for trouble. They were here for Liam. One of the bikers, a tall woman with kind eyes, approached Liam slowly and knelt to his level. She gently signed back, "You're safe now." Liam's tear-stained face flickered with confusion and relief. The bikers had heard about the video online, about a kid being bullied just for being different, and they had come to show him that the world wasn't always cruel. The bullies froze as the rumble of the motorcycles grew louder. At first, they thought it was a prank, a group of adults playing tough, but as the bikers dismounted and walked toward Liam, their expressions changed. The leader, a man with a patch reading "Riders for Justice," addressed the teens firmly. "You think it's funny to hurt someone for being who they are?" he said, his voice calm but commanding. "How would you feel if it was your little brother, your cousin, or your best friend?" The older kids exchanged nervous glances. Their laughter had vanished, replaced by guilt and confusion. One of them, a boy named Tyler, had been the one holding the phone. He froze as the biker's words sank in. Meanwhile, Liam clutched his mother's hand, still trembling, but he noticed something amazing. The bikers weren't yelling or threatening. They were showing strength through kindness. They were standing up for him, not with violence, but with presence and support. The bikers formed a protective semicircle around Liam and his mother. Some gently guided the bullies to understand why their actions were hurtful. Others stayed with Liam, making sure he felt seen and safe. Cameras from bystanders captured the moment, not as a viral humiliation, but as a story of courage, empathy, and standing up for those who can't always defend themselves. Tyler, the one who had filmed Liam, lowered his phone, ashamed. The bikers didn't scold him aggressively. They encouraged him to apologize sincerely, to understand that online cruelty is still cruelty, and to make amends. For the first time that day, Liam felt something he hadn't felt in a long while. Hope. Hope that kindness existed even in the face of cruelty. Just when the tension seemed to settle, another twist unfolded. A few people who had been watching from the diner's windows came outside, whispering that they had seen the bullies harass other kids in the neighborhood too. Liam's mother, worried, looked around, realizing that this wasn't an isolated incident. The bikers, instead of leaving after protecting Liam, decided to take action. They organized a quick neighborhood meeting right there on the sidewalk. Parents, teachers, and even some local shop owners gathered as the bikers shared the importance of standing against bullying, of noticing when kids are in danger, and of speaking up even when it's uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Liam, still sitting on the curb, began to feel something he hadn't before: empowerment. One of the younger bikers, a cheerful man named Ben, handed him a small leather patch that read, "Bravery looks different." "You're brave, Liam," he signed, "and now others can be brave too." Tyler, the bully, approached Liam hesitantly. He signed awkwardly, I'm sorry. I didn't understand before." Liam looked at him for a long moment. He felt the sting of the earlier humiliation, but he also saw genuine remorse. He nodded slightly and signed back, "Thank you for saying sorry." The bikers cheered softly, not in a mocking way, but in celebration of humanity, showing through mistakes and forgiveness. The crowd had grown, and many were filming. But this time, it was a story meant to inspire, to remind people that one act of cruelty can be met with countless acts of kindness. The moment became more than about Liam. It became a movement and microcosm, showing how communities can rise to protect their most vulnerable members. By the end of the afternoon, Liam was smiling for the first time that day. The bikers, who had become unlikely heroes, stayed until they were sure he felt safe and supported. Parents approached them, thanking them for teaching not just kids, but the entire neighborhood, that courage doesn't always roar. It can come quietly, through protective presence, empathy, and action. Liam's mother hugged each biker, tears in her eyes. "You've changed my son's life," she whispered. Liam held his new patch close, feeling its weight not just in leather, but in meaning. He realized that while some people might be cruel, there are far more who will stand up for what's right. The bullies, on the other hand, walked away with lessons they wouldn't forget. Tyler, especially, reflected on how easy it had been to cause harm and how powerful it felt to try to make amends. The bikers didn't demand punishment. They wanted understanding, growth, and compassion to take root. As the sun began to set, the group posed for one final picture, Liam at the center, surrounded by 40 bikers who had come to show the world that one act of kindness can outweigh 1,000 acts of cruelty. The video that had started as a symbol of shame would later be shared online as a story of hope, inspiring thousands of people across the country. Liam learned that day that being different isn't a weakness. It's a reason for others to step up and be brave. And the bikers taught everyone watching a timeless lesson. That standing up for someone who can't defend themselves is one of the purest forms of kindness. Sometimes, it takes a rumble of engines to remind a community that empathy is louder than cruelty, and that even one child's tears can move the hearts of many.